Hello. In this video, what we're going to be covering is how to get the most out of your sales pipeline reporting inside of Apptivo. So for this video, we're going to assume that you're already familiar with Apptivo, CRM systems, and you've already got your pipeline set up. And we're going to specifically talk about, well, how do you analyze your data in order to see what's going on? So certainly if you haven't set up yet, we're going to give a couple pointers as far as what data that you need to have structured properly to drive your reports. But we'll just kind of give you a quick tour around the different styles of reports available, and then go and show you some details on each one in a demo account. So as far as an agenda for today, we'll start off just saying what types of reports does Apptivo have, because there's different classifications of reports, then there's also different purposes of why you might use each one. So we'll talk about those, and then we'll drive into what are the key just standard attributes available inside of the system, which are going to affect how you can report on your data. So these are the sorts of things that you need to think about when you're configuring the system, is ensuring that you have the proper attributes in place so you can filter and slice and dice the data apart however you'd like. Then the next part, really what we're going to do is just walk through all the different most popular reports. There's no way we could cover everything in this short little video. So what we're going to do is we're going to break them down into two primary purposes, and then I'm going to go show you the groups of each ones and kind of how they're used in practice. So with that, let's start off and let's go talk about what types of reports are available in Apptivo. So the reporting in Apptivo, it's structured primarily around the apps. So we're going to be picking on the Opportunities app today, but these concepts actually apply to all of the different Apptivo apps. We're just specifically focused in on sales reporting. So the idea is that inside of each app, you have several different types of reports you can run. But there is the overarching collaboration data, like your tasks and calendar events and such. So even outside of the app, you can do some global level reporting. So the idea is that inside of each app, there's three types of reports you can get. There's the classic, reports area. There's some analytical reports stored inside of each app. They're all just out of the box. They come pre-cooked. In Opportunities, I think there's something like 30, 35 standard reports available right out of the system. Very similar to that, you have dashboards, which are once again standard reports. They're available right outside of the system. And the idea is that these things help you visualize your pipeline and get some quick analytics. So we're definitely going to go look through those, but they're both out of the box. Then there's the views, where we do have standard views. Views are a little bit different, whereas reports are typically retrieving like analytics. They're analyzing all of your information, crunching numbers for you, giving you key insights and intelligence. And then dashboards they'll do some number crunching, but they're primarily about the visualization and the charting of your data, which normally you don't get out of just, looking at a spreadsheet style view. The view is the actual, spreadsheet, the data sitting behind any one of these other types of reports. And in the view system, there's some standard ways to chop apart your data. Like, for example, I can split my opportunities by their stage or by their territory right out of the box. But there's the concept of custom views, where you can retrieve a list of data based on any criteria and choose exactly what you want returned. So that really forms your fully customized reporting, where I could take a spreadsheet of all my deals in a certain industry closed during a certain period by a rep, and then go do some number crunching, dump it up to a spreadsheet, produce some management reports, whatever you need to do out of that. But the idea is inside of the Opportunities app, you'll have these three types of reports, and you'll have the same types of reports in contacts, customers, leads, everything like that. Otherwise, inside of the main reports area, there is one generic report, and it's called the Activity Report. So what it'll do is it'll actually allow you to filter within one app like Opportunities, or I could say, hey, show me all calls that an employee has performed across the organization. And then the last one is global collaboration views. So right when you log in, I'm able to kind of chop apart through my data, and I could go drill in on, like, say, just calendar events. I can categorize my calendar events. So maybe it's really important for you to know whether these are initial cold calls, whether they're scheduled demonstrations, or whether they're follow-up sessions. And you need to run metrics on each one of these. In that case, you can go drill in from the detailed view on the main homepage. So before we dive into the next step, I just want to quickly hop into the app and then show you around what I mean by each one of these. So we'll just start in the top corner, and we'll talk about the generic activity reports. So what we'll do is we'll start bouncing in and out of each application. So the activity reports can be found in any one of the apps, and they're in the standard reports area. So when you want to go to the standard reports area, you look in the upper right corner, and there's the reports option right here in each app. Then on the left side, you're going to have all the different reports available. But the one on the top is the activities report. So this one is actually looking and analyzing activity data, although you'll see it can filter within this one app. I can easily select all, and then you'll have the choice to pick a specific employee. I can grab the activity types, and you get a list of all the activities back. But not too much like search criteria, so I can see what type of activity, but I wouldn't be able to say retrieve a specific type of event. And that's what you can do from the other one, the global collaboration views. So this is on my main homepage. Normally when I'm just browsing through and I'm checking out my agenda, I've got all these activities, but we have these other links over here. Like I can view just the calendar or call logs or tasks. And then each one of these gives you advanced search capabilities. So now I can come through and I can find tasks specifically assigned to one person or everybody, tasks in one app, starting during a period. And then if you have categorization and statuses, you'll see you can build an advanced list and then get your filtered list of tasks back in whatever view you want. So that way you can split by call logs or by calendar events, whatever type of information you want to get back, you can retrieve from there. Then within each app, so you have the 3 sections, and we just looked at reports. So when I go back into that Opportunities app, the reports area is where, all the analytical type reports are stored, all the out-of-the-box stuff. So here you'll see a bunch of various items. We're going to come back here. Some of them are just like facilitated by, they're lists of data facilitated by a visualization. So here's just showing my deals based on which territory they're coming from, or where my deals are based on which stage they're in. So there's a bunch of this out-of-the-box stuff. I'm not going to dive too far into the detail of that, but this is the reports area. Then there is the dashboards. So these are only going to exist in the Opportunities app, or a couple other apps have them, but within CRM, it's just Opportunities that has dashboards. And that's things like, your standard sales funnel. We've got like some performance charts. So we'll talk a little bit about these, checking out how much revenue is in each stage. But what you see is these are pipeline visualization tools, although there's also some analytical breakdown. So like this one just helps you analyze how or why you're winning and losing deals. So anything over here are the dashboard-based reports. And then the last one is the views, which are the lists down here. So each app has standard views constructed right in. So for example, a standard one is, let me break down all my deals by the stage that they're in. A very simple filter. Let me break them down by the territory that they're in. Once again, a simple filter. But you could form a custom breakdown. So like when I look at a deal right here, I've got, the name of it, customers for, but then I got probability, stage, it's the type is school, the source that it's coming from. So maybe I want to create my own list. Like maybe I want to do some analysis on when I have a deal that's greater than 50% probability, how often do I get to closure? Or in this case, I've got a custom field, sales commission. Maybe what I need to do is I need to get a list of all deals closed by a person, Jane, and I need to see everything closed this month by Jane. And I just want to get back the commission amount so that way I can quickly total up how much commission I owe her for the month. So this would be like a fully customized view. So the idea is a view is a combination of your search criteria and then the output that you want. So let me walk through that example. So what we're going to do is we're going to build that commission report. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by running a search. That's how all views begin, is creating your search criteria. And in this case, I'm going to search by assigned to Jane. And then we want to find specifically the deals that she has closed. So we'll mark as closed 1. You'll see that I can add as many pieces of search criteria as I want. Any custom field you create in Apptivo can be used as a piece of search criteria. So right there, you'll see my sales commission field, but we're not going to filter based on that. So I get my list back. Of course, I've only got one result. She's just won a single deal. But then what I needed was the commission amount. And maybe some of this other stuff is not relevant in my report. So what I can actually do is I can change what's called the list layout. So the first component of a view is the search criteria, and the second component is the list layout. Now on here, every field that I have configured in the app can be displayed. So maybe I want to display my contact and my type, but I can remove a couple other details, leave my assigned to, and then show the sales commission amount. And I can just come back here and maybe I need to do a little bit of resizing and such. Maybe because it's assigned to Jane, I can go and I can completely remove that assigned to. I know they're all assigned to Jane. So you get this list looking how you want. And once you're satisfied with it, you can save it as a view. So I can just call this Jane's Commission Report. I could choose to share it with others if I'd like. And the idea is that now it's just saved away. So anytime you want to bring up this report inside of Apptivo, there's just a little hyperlink right here for my views. Very simple to bring it back up. But anytime you're looking at a view inside of Apptivo, it can be exported to a spreadsheet. So let's say if I did want to total up these sales commission values and then go do some calculations, I can simply select however many rows I want from my view, including the entire view, and then I can export it. And then there's the option of current view. So what that's saying is only take this one result and only take the columns that I've specified right here. So that is your full custom reporting where now I can do anything I want with this data. So that's the view system. It's going to be very, very popular. It's a key part of the reporting. Okay, so the next app or next step is what key attributes are driving those reports. So, I mean, we saw like the sales stage is probably one of the biggest ones that pops out. But it starts off with the employee data. Because for, an individual, you don't have to worry about who's reporting to who and all that stuff. But what Apptivo supports is the ability to define a manager for each employee. So you can define the manager hierarchy all the way up. And you're going to notice when you're poking through the reports that you have the ability to filter for all opportunities visible to you, all people who are directly on your team, or just the ones that are specifically assigned to you. So who this data is assigned to, which could either be an individual or a team, is very key in the reporting because there's a lot of reports around, well, how is this employee doing or how is this team doing? So the assignee is key, and then each assignee has a reporting a manager so that they report up to. So those two drive a lot of how we're going to view our reports. And then there's information about the deals themselves, how we're breaking apart the deals. So look, each deal is assigned to somebody, and then they have these attributes. But then with the deal, there's the source that it came from. So there's a lot of analysis around deals from this source are going to convert more often. They generate revenue. Then by region, so there's a native territories feature. I can break some reports apart by territory. And then close date, deal amount, sales stage, and probability. These are kind of like the key factors. If you're looking at pipelines over the next few months, when that deal is going to close and the stage it's in, how likely it is to close, these are all going to contribute to how much revenue you're projecting during each period. So these are kind of a close family, standard stuff, but very key in driving your reporting. And then additionally, as we saw, if I create any sort of custom fields, you need to think potentially there's other attributes which are not standard. They're unique to your business type, and you need to filter by them. So in that case, you need to ensure that you create a field with like a proper drop-down menu or a method to segment all of your deals in a certain way. So for example, when we go into like our example here, I've got a custom field called type, and it's got like school inside of there. So you want to make sure that if you need to get reporting based on deals who are schools, you have a field in there. So that way, anytime when you come and run your reviews, you go scope stuff out, you will be able to filter based on that information. All right, so that's kind of the key attributes. Let's get in. Let's actually start checking out some of these reports. So there's two main purposes of reports that I want to talk about. So we talked about the types of reports, like a view or a dashboard, but when you talk about the different dashboards available, there's two distinct purposes. There's one just to analyze your current pipeline. So this is more of, the end user experience of, hey, I've got a bunch of deals sitting in the pipeline and I'm falling short on my quota. I need to advance them to the next stage, or I'm doing great this month, or just, hey, who do I need to go take action on? There's reports that help facilitate just the analysis of what's currently in your pipeline and helping you drive the next action. Then there's reports more around the intelligence. So what's going on? How do I make strategic improvements? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And who is doing it right and wrong? So that's kind of a different, more of a management style reporting. It's more of something that you'll do on a regular basis rather than every day I log in and I go scope out how my intelligence and my analytics are looking. So let's do is let's just quickly hop through each one of these dashboards. I want to point out I've only listed like 7 right here. I guess 7 for each. That is not all the reports available. These are just like the most popular, the key reports that people are looking at all the time. So starting off from the end user perspective, we got a couple dashboards, and end users are primarily going to rely on the dashboards. So one thing is, like when I log in, you'll notice when I go to opportunities, it defaults to my sales funnel, which is one of my dashboards, probably the most popular dashboard out there. Very classic way to look at your CRM system, where you just have all the deals broken down by their stage. It'll show how much revenue you have inside of each stage, and then you get the breakdown right here. So this is probably the best tool for a salesperson just looking and saying, what's in the pipeline? But you might have noticed up here, I've got those filters. So we were discussing how you have common filters around like close dates and the assignee. So where that management hierarchy comes into play is right there, where you can see I manage 2 people, and I can either look at all the deals in the business, which I have access to everything, or just the deals that are individually assigned to me. Or I can go pick on one of my employees and say, what does their pipeline look like? So all these dashboards can be filtered in those different ways. And as long as you have access to the data, it'll chop it apart accordingly. So sales funnel is great to kind of see what's going on. And then with all these dashboards, when you click on them, what'll happen is we'll go and pull up the list of data that we use to generate that metric. So in there, I can say, okay, well, who is in proposal price quote right now? You click that, you get the list. So I kind of skipped over performance, went to sales funnel just because it's my default, which, by the way, you can choose your default in each app. But let's start with the performance. So performance is around our quota management, which not everybody's going to be using quotas, but the idea is there's another application called sales planning. Inside of here, you'll be able to define a quota for each user during each period. So if I go look at my list, you can see I've allocated quotas to my team members. I've only put in a little bit of test data here for August, just so we can see all the charts pulling out. And this will work as like, a more historical type data because I can see how much money I've won or lost historically. But then that drives this performance report inside of the opportunity dashboard. So this one's really good for telling an employee, like at a glance, where are you? Are you on track for your current goal? And same thing where I can look at the organization and whether they're on track, or I can go pick on a particular employee and like, well, how am I individually doing against my quota? So there you can see it'll measure against your quota, and you have different sales plan categories inside of your pipeline. So even though I might have 10 stages, I can generally break them into pipeline and forecast just to help you segment like closing soon versus not closing soon. And then it just tells you your progression, and there's some cool breakdowns down here. So for example, I can see the current visualization of each person's pipeline. And just like everywhere else, like if I want to see what's sitting in Edna's pipeline, or like why does she have so much in the forecast right now, I can simply click on that link, and then it will filter down and show me what is currently sitting inside of that pipeline for her. So performance is really big. Anybody who uses quotas will primarily treat this as their end user dashboard. Because same thing, I can click on forecast and I can see what is in my forecast. So it's really good for an end user taking action. Next one I want to go talk about is going to be pipeline by stage and 12 months pipeline, which are very similar to each other. And these are pretty, the sales funnel, 12 months pipeline, pipeline by stage, they all give, just a slightly different view. So pipeline by stage is specifically, focused in on the revenue sitting inside of each stage, but just a slightly different way of the sales funnel. And it gives you the good individual breakdown all in a single page. So as a manager, seeing like, what's sitting inside of each person's pipeline, this is the best view to get that from. 12 months pipeline, this is your upcoming projection. So just based on what's currently sitting inside of your deals and when they're going to close, it's going to project all these amounts. And a quick little note is every amount that you're seeing right here, it's going to be the amount of the deal times the probability is the way the system does the calculation. And the probability can be directly tied to your stages of the deal. So constantly monitoring your stages and how often you convert from them is important to continually keep your configuration and your conversion rates accurate. So that way, all of your financial projections become accurate. So otherwise, there's two reports in the actual reports area that I wanted to talk about that are pretty good for the end user, which is pipeline progression and aging of opportunities. So if we just scroll down here, we'll see they're both right next to each other. What pipeline progression tells you is a lot of the time you're not closing deals. Some companies have very long sales processes, multiple years. So even if you don't close a deal in a month, you could have made a lot of progress on a lot of deals. So what pipeline progression allows is to kind of bring that information to light. So you'd be able to filter by a person or a date period, and you can simply say how many deals moved to the next stage. So 13 total deals changed stage and got advanced. And then it says how many stage changes did I do. So I made 23 total advancements, which it could mean that I've got 13, and then one of them got 5 updates, and then another one got like another 3. So you can just happen like that. So you can see lots of activity on a couple opportunities, or lots of opportunities, each advancing one stage. So that as a user kind of helps you progress. Also as a manager, of course, you can be looking at that. And then the other one is aging of opportunities. So pretty common, straightforward report. Just a couple little metrics to show you how long are deals typically sitting in the pipeline. So what is your normal sales cycle? This report will go and give you that information. Okay, so that's kind of like, your end user style reporting. Really just depends on whether you're using quotas or not, of whether performance or sales funnel is your primary dashboard, but typically it's going to be one of those two. Then we've got more of, the management style intelligence side reporting. So in here, the 3 dashboards in play, what they do is they analyze your past performance. So if we click back to the home page and get to these dashboards, what you have are tools to analyze your wins and losses. Then there's one for the leads. So the idea here is you'll just get some key metrics. So I just pick a time period. Okay, in this case, I'm filtering for all of 2016, and I can filter by a team to see how they're doing. So it'll just simply tell me how many deals that I mark as lost. And when you mark a deal as lost, it'll ask you to track why you lost it. So now you can start to say, well, which reasons am I losing the most deals from? And then what is the revenue impact of those losses? And same thing with employees, of which employees are winning or losing the most, which customers, and which stages. So you've got this different breakdown. You have the same thing on wins and losses. And then lead analysis is only for those of you who use the leads application and are converting leads. But that will give you the same kind of breakdown. I just don't have data inside of here of how many leads are converted and which lead sources are the top generators. That kind of leads us into the next step, though. So lead analysis is like a dashboard style view. but analyzing which sources are producing the most revenue and produce the highest conversion rates is really important. So what we have is built-in reports inside of each app. It's called lead source performance, very, very popular. And I can filter by time period. I'll just leave mine empty. And what you'll just see is a list of every lead source you have, how many deals you've worked on during the period, how many of them you won, and then the conversion rate and the revenue impact. So great little insights to just know where you should be focusing your lead generation activities and your qualification activities on. And you have the same kind of thing to analyze the performance of a sales rep. So here you'd pick an individual rep, and then this would show how many deals did they work on, what did they win, lose, conversion rate, and revenue generation. So there's the same sort of thing around like activity management and such. There's a lot more detailed reports that we're not going to dive into the detail on today. Not all these are in use by all companies. What you're doing here is like measuring how many calls and emails people are making and the effectiveness and the revenue tied to them. There's a lot of little reports like this, but we just wanted to kind of give a high-level overview for this presentation. So if you've got any further questions about the reporting, feel free to reach out to our support team or go check out our YouTube channel for additional videos. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you next time.